All right, good afternoon. We're doing section 3.5, derivatives of trigonometric functions. So let's dive right in. So we start with just the derivative of sine and cosine functions. So the derivative of sine of x is cosine x, and the derivative of cosine of x is just negative sine of x. And you can see after about 4 iterations, you could come back to your original starting point. So these functions are considered infinitely differentiable. Why do I say infinitely? It means that I can take the 5th derivative, the 20th derivative, I can take the millionth derivative, and I'm still going to have something to differentiate. Compared with polynomials, which after a while you end up with 0 and you can't keep differentiating. So calculate dy dx for y equals sine of x minus x times cosine of x. Go ahead and pause and work out this example on your own. All right, welcome back. So let's calculate dy dx for y equals sine of x minus cosine of x. So because we have the sum of two functions, it just is a negative sum, we can split it up into d dx of sine of x minus d dx of x times cosine of x. So our very first term becomes cosine of x. We've already taken that derivative. And the next one, we need the derivative of the first function, which is x, which just becomes 1, times the original second function, cosine of x, plus the first function, x, times the derivative of the second. And when you simplify everything down, you get cosine of x minus cosine of x plus x times negative sine of x, but there's another negative, you carry that through. So our final answer is x times sine of x. But as you probably know, there are more trigonometric functions than just sine and cosine. In fact, there's things that come from sine and cosine. So we have sine and cosine, but we also have cosecant, which is 1 divided by sine. And we have secant, which is 1 divided by cosine. You're also probably familiar with the tangent function, and tangent is just sine divided by cosine. There's also the cotangent function, which is flipped. It's cosine divided by sine. And each one of these 6 functions has their own derivative that you need to memorize because deriving them is very difficult. So the derivative we've already seen of sine of x is cosine of x. The derivative of cosine of x is negative sine of x. The derivative of cosecant is negative cosecant times cotangent. That's interesting. The derivative of secant of x is secant x times tangent x. The derivative of tangent of x is secant squared x. And then the derivative of cotangent of x is negative cosecant squared of x. And that's it for today. So make sure you write all these down, you memorize them, and you have these in your back pocket when it's time to go.